A supporting industry for mass media in the United States, along with public relations. For probably first question is when and how did mass or national advertising develop? Well, it developed in the about around the midpoint of the 19th century with industrialization, the creation of a market economy thanks to the rail system and telegraphs. And this enabled development of mass advertising or national advertising. Two important entities at this point were consumer catalogs, such as the Sears and Roebuck catalog, and department stores. What is the relationship between mass media and advertising? Well, companies use mass media, whether it's about newspapers, magazines, radio, television, internet, to develop national brands, and that's what happened early on. Um, is the use of advertising to develop brands that were recognizable across the country, such as Coca-Cola. And consumers developed brand awareness, and the advertising helped to support the cost of mass media like newspapers and magazines, and later on radio, the production and distribution costs. What are different types of advertising? Well, the most common type is product advertising. This is consumer retail advertising, which happens at different levels from local, regional, the New England Ford dealers, or at the national advertising, such as Ford Motor Company or General Motors. But we also have institutional advertising. This is advertising from such as Central Maine Power Company that tips on using electricity and saving money, which seems like, well, why do they have to kind of do that? I mean, aren't we all have to buy electricity? Well, a lot of that is, and the same thing with oil companies and such, is promoting goodwill. So when they need a rate increase and such, the public and they also hope politicians will think more favorably of that. There's also political advertising, political campaigns, political issues, the local, state, and national level. There's advocacy advertising. You see a billboard here. It's political, social advocacy groups. Maybe they're advocating for family values. Maybe they're advocating for pro-choice, anti-abortion. There are also nursing home advocates, a number of different advocates out there. There's also public service advertising. This is advertising for nonprofit organizations or government agencies, charitable causes, American Red Cross. These usually take the form of public service announcements, which are it's in the broadcaster's interest in terms of maintaining their license to do a certain level of provide a certain level of public service announcements. How are advertising campaigns developed? Well, advertising is actually an offshoot of market research. Most large national companies do market research to sort of define where they are within the market, who their competitors are, the how whether it's at the retail or wholesale or commercial level, how recognizable is their brand. And advertising gets into studying consumer needs and emotional appeals. Advertising is really marketing in action and directing it. Advertising new products, interestingly, go through early stages. For instance, if you go and you look at the early advertising for computers, like for the Tandy computer, um, in the 1980s and such, there was a lot of and here's an image here, a lot of with Bill Gates, a lot of information about how to use a computer. Yes, you could play games with it, but you could also do home financing. A lot more information. Of course, now we don't really need. We know what a computer is used for, and same thing with cars. Early on, cars had a lot of heavy advertising, but of course now, everybody knows what you can do with a car. So then you can focus more on more on the design and more connecting to emotional appeals. And this certainly worked with Apple computers and Volkswagen Beetle, some of the early advertising. What are some of the benefits and problems associated with mass advertising? Some of the benefits are that it's really needed for a market economy. You have to do mass advertising to have a nationally known or even internationally known brand. And advertising does provide product and brand information. Uh, to have a brand that's known throughout the country or throughout the world, you have to rely on national, international advertising. Another benefit is that it supposedly makes media more affordable and accessible. There's some critics to that, some criticism to that, but they argue that, for instance, we wouldn't have the series of consumer magazines that we have, or even a cable broadcast television, if there wasn't such a reliance on advertising. There's also the sense that, and this is sort of gets into the libertarian view, that consumers make rational choices, and if there's certain products or advertising campaigns don't work, then they tend to fail. What are some problems associated with mass advertising? A lot of critics. One is it promotes values of consumption, that a person's self-worth is tied to having certain products, and consumers, the kind of car you wear, the kind of clothes you wear, visual appearances become much more important thanks to mass advertising. Also, promotion of risky and healthy behavior. Advertising is used to promote alcohol. There's a lot of tobacco advertising still in magazines and such. Promotion of prescription drugs, violent content, and video games and movies and television is supposed to promote risky behavior particularly among young males. A focus on body image and unrealistic body image is critics say that may lead to an unhealthy body image for young women and teenage girls. Promotion of certain social stereotypes. Even though that's improved over time, there's certain stereotypes that are still kind of put across and through advertising. The blurring of advertising with program content, particularly with product placement and programs, and it's sometimes in advertising magazines. It's hard to tell between the editorial content and the advertising content. They're concerned that advertising influences editorial content. We all think of like newspapers, they sort of have these salute to industry or salute to lifestyles or travel, and these become essentially bait for advertisers. There's some story content, but it becomes very much full of local and regional advertising. The idea that advertising influences the media industry structure. There's been some concern that because advertising puts across a CMN or cost per thousand edict, that advertisers look at medium, particularly like newspapers, and say, well, how much does it cost to reach 1,000 subscribers or 1,000 consumers, and that this has brought the end to a lot of local newspapers and such, and a loss of a lot of newspapers. Used to be 2 or 3 newspaper towns, and a lot of times now they're just down to 1, and then maybe there's some alternative media. And that's the end of this presentation.